And 2008 is like pretty long ago. This is before Instagram, before, oh no, yeah.
Yes, Naghma, I'm old.
I don't mean that, but
It felt like I was moving through a fairy tale.
obviously.
It was the first time I had seen a blue poppy.
Oh, that's amazing.
My grandfather was in the Indian Forest Services.
Okay.
And he was the first chief wildlife warden of India. Who would do that? Who would sit around for birds to come?
Everything.
And every village and every area has an Ish Dev, a Kul Devi, a Kshetrapal. Kshetrapal basically land guardians. I was trying to find stories even in the winds, even in the sound of the leaves when there's fluttering. So I think I always looked more. I'm a very visual person. So
what do you think of that? How much do today's generation actually understand about nature or value nature for you? What English am I talking?
Perfect English. And this ritual is called Jagar, where each god would have their songs, and people in a very ritualistic manner it would go on, and the spirit would come in one of
the shamans. What do you see in Kantara? For me, it's my actual festivals at my hometown every single year, and this is what something, even though scared,
is a very cosmetic purpose of stories. I think we exist because of stories. So each sutradhar, it will pass through, it will take something from the sutradhar also.
The Next Show by Naghma. Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Next Show by Naghma. And today with me, I have an author whose work is a bridge between a lot of folklore, ecology, visual art, and a lot of things like that. And while reading the book, it's something that literally gave me a visual treat, because her book did not just give me short stories and folklores, it also gave me a good paintings and pictures in it. I mean, if I call it paintings correctly, I don't know, whatever that is. So when I was reading the book, as you can see, When Birds Talked, it was a very beautiful journey. And just because of the content in the book, I really wanted to have the author into the next show for a conversations, because I felt the book had a lot of amazing messages that can go out to everybody. So with me today as my guest, I have Neha Negi, the author. Hi, Neha.
Hi,
How are you?
Naghma. Very good. I hope you're well, and thank you so much for having me here.
That's my pleasure. I think we've reached out to each other in the right timing. So how is it living, or basically being from Dehradun and currently living in Delhi, I'm not officially an ecologist, but somebody who talks a lot about our nature and everything. How is the contrast, like unfiltered?
Oh, you mean the contrast living in Delhi versus being
Dehradun.
in... Okay. So, interesting fact that growing up, I never lived in Dehradun because I come from an army background. So my childhood was pretty peripatetic.
Okay.
We moved from one place to another.
Okay.
And I grew up with stories because in these train journeys, I would read and read and read a lot. And I looked forward to these train journeys. I got to experience Uttarakhand in its essence in 2008 when I started traveling alone. And at that point of time, it was unheard of. We had no cameras, nothing for a woman, Indian woman to travel across, going to remote places. And perhaps it's because where my roots lie, something touched my heart and it remained there. So, I mean, I don't know, I'm not an ecologist, but what I've conveyed in these stories is my love for the nature of Uttarakhand and nature in general. And the contrast of living in Delhi doesn't really disturb me because I always carry it in my heart.
Interesting. So just to put it off in a way, when did you guys, when did your family finally settle in Dehradun or Uttarakhand?
So when my father retired in early 2014,
Okay. Oh, it's pretty recent.
yeah,
then.
pretty
Okay.
recent. So we moved bag and baggage. My parents
Yeah.
are settled there.
Yeah.
And all of us children are here and there,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Making ends meet, living life,
Hmm.
and playing out our part in the play.
Interesting. So do you still keep going back home?
Very,
Often.
very, I mean, very often for me would be every weekend, which I
Oh,
can't do
really?
that.
Oh, okay.
Which I
I
can't
just thought
do.
you were just doing.
No,
Okay,
but
okay.
at least once a month I try to go, and when I go, I try and go for a stretch
Ah, that's good. It's your
of at least
complete
a week.
detoxing.
I don't know if it's detoxing. It's because when I'm going back home, I'm just I'm homebound. I don't move out, nothing. But recently, I've tried to sort of go out and travel a bit more.
Oh,
Go for a bird watching.
Oh, nice.
Bird watching. I join a bird watching group.
Yeah.
And go early mornings.
Ah.
There are some wonderful people doing wonderful work in
Yeah.
Uttarakhand.
Yeah.
They are very passionate about nature, of birds and butterflies and trees.
Oh, nice.
So I've been lucky to know them.
Yeah.
So I happen to, I just happen to piggyback.
Ah, so these people, they're the group from Been There, Doing That. I mean, that's one community that I know of.
There are lots of them. Been There, Doing That has also been doing wonderful
Yeah.
work. It's an endeavor by Mr. Lokesh
Yeah.
Ori. I have not met him personally, but I know a lot of people who've been.
I got the chance to meet him once.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah, we did. We had an event long ago in Dehradun. We did a book festival, and we had invited Mr. Lori sir for a talk there.
Yeah.
And the major intention was, one, he's I couldn't say just a localite, but a very celebrated and respected localite. So a lot of messages that he had to convey, and while just like with the random conversations with him, is where even I got to know Dehradun a lot better. Because Uttarakhand overall, yes, I'm from the south. It's always been a tourist location for me. But when he started talking about just outside Dehradun as a city, the kind of cultural things that still keeps happening, the communities that still live, the customs and rituals that they still follow, I was mind-blowing. It was such an amazing experience just being with him. And honestly, when reading your book, a lot of things that he told me like 2 years ago I was reconnecting with a lot of them.
Mr. Ori has been the pioneer in weaving the history and the spirit of Dehradun and around into a story.
True.
He's collected these stories and he's woven and strung it together in a very beautiful narrative that he shares, that we have the privilege to hear.
Exactly.
And he shares with the world.
Nice, interesting. So how was your initial days when you started traveling solo? And 2008 is like pretty long ago. This is before Instagram, before, I think WhatsApp was there. No, WhatsApp was also not there. So this is like way before. How was it, like in general, travel experiences been like for you?
Yes, Naghma, I'm old.
I don't mean that, but no, like WhatsApp came in after my college days. So yeah, we're in the same category.
At that point of time, I was interested in a lot of hikes and treks, and which also inspired me later to do my mountaineering course.
Wow.
From Uttarkashi.
Nice.
And I got to see these really nice, beautiful, untouched places.
Amazing.
But I would say it was pretty untouched.
Yeah.
I feel when you went there at that point of time to some of these places, it enveloped you.
Yeah.
And it made you its own. And I feel now I struggle to find the same feeling when I visit there. But there's still a lot of, especially in the national parks and reserved forest areas, it's pretty much untouched. And that's how whenever I visit these places, I find my connection there.
That's so nice. Do you have a favorite hiking route?
Well, I It's favorite not because it's the most beautiful or remotest or anything. I think Valley of Flowers is very stunning.
Oh, nice. You did a full hike there.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's beautiful. I went there and I didn't go further. I spent 2 days there.
Oh,
You can't spend
wow.
the entire day inside the national park, but like I went out and I came back again. I think it was pretty good. It was stunning.
Lovely.
It felt like I was moving through a fairy tale.
Nice. Obviously, yeah.
And there was mist all around, flowers of all colors, of all kinds that I'd never seen. And it was the first time I had seen a blue poppy.
Ah,
Have you seen a blue poppy?
No, I only in pictures.
So red poppies are the ones
Yeah.
that you would find
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
They're pretty beautiful flowers,
Yeah.
but blue poppies grow in this special terrain. They grow from the fissures between the rocks. So it's like the color of the green is also a cool tone green. It basically like it's a beautiful transition from the cold gray of the rock moving up, and it gets warmer and warmer, and suddenly there's a pop of yellow
Oh, nice. Okay.
in between these really beautiful blue petals.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's meditative. You just lost me somewhere there. Okay, because you told me you went to Kerala also. Did you hike the Nilgiris as well?
No, I didn't. I
you
went
didn't?
there for a very, very prim and proper trip. Just went and stayed in Thekadi, went to these pepper farms, spice farms, and had beautiful, amazing food. Amazing
course.
food. I also
course.
traveled through these state buses.
Oh, that's the best way to travel in Kerala.
Yeah, and some of them, okay, you have to correct me if my memory is tricking me, but I do remember some of these buses had wooden floors.
Buses have wooden floors?
Or maybe it's somewhere in South India. These older buses had wooden floors.
Yeah, this would be the very, very, very old state buses. Acha, could be the ones that's still running in the outskirts.
At that point of time.
Ah, interesting. Wow. So recently, one of my friends in Hyderabad was asking me, they're going to Cochin, and from there they have a Varkala trip. Like, should we hire a car or how should you travel? I'm literally like, dude, just go there. You'll find these state buses. Just take it. 50 rupees you'll reach. That's one part of it, but it's fun to do that. And Kerala, guys, whoever is watching, please take public transport. Not even the trains, the state buses. It's like amazing. Oh, but that good thing that you did that. Oh, amazing. So now coming back to your family, your writing journey and all of it. In the book, in your introduction, you were talking about how your brothers really inspired you in a lot of way to get into that
No,
connection.
not brothers.
Your dad?
No, my grandparents.
Oh, it's
my
from
grandfather.
there. Oh, that's amazing.
My grandfather was in the Indian Forest Services.
Okay.
And he was the first chief wildlife warden of India.
Oh, wow.
His brother, my own grandfather, spent 17 years in Corbett.
Okay.
He joined Forest Services when India was still under the British rule.
Okay.
And they pioneered some work which is all still very well respected here.
Nice.
And they inspired me, while traveling with them. I remember they used to always, they wouldn't allow us to like talk or listen to music or anything. They were like, keep your eyes and ears open, you're in nature. And they used to keep telling us about this is the tree, that's the flying squirrel, and they would just tell us a little bit here and there. Most of the times, like all kids, it'll go here and then come out from the other ear, because I was more interested in things that I was interested in that point of time.
Yeah.
But when I started appreciating the beauty of waiting patiently for birds was this was just not even a decade back, 7-8 years back. I got into watching birds and appreciating, and I didn't feel anymore that who would do that, who would sit around for birds to come. But I realized that there was a gap in I am an autodidact and I learned through storytelling and stories. And I thought there are a few folktales here and there.
Yeah.
Of Guguti, the spotted dove, and even the blue whistling thrush, and some other birds, but they're not like collected, and then I wasn't interested in collecting. And I wanted to write about birds which struck me the most.
Okay.
And at that point of time, and actually there are lots more, but we have to keep a limit to the list, right? And I invented my own stories, folk tales, and I thought if we had stories which created emotional entry points into ecology and nature, it would be easier, I think, for people to connect with the non-animate world, the world which does not speak our language, which is birds and the beasts. So I saw a gap there, and I wrote, and it was a beautiful experience because I went all berserk. I had all these fantasies in my mind, and there was this freedom to create your own world. But at the same time, I was very grounded by these motifs, cultural and traditional motifs.
That's so nice.
Like the forest fairies which come from Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand has all these stories of bhoot, pishach,
Uttarakhand
ghosts,
has everything from your
masans,
mythology to your paranormal to everything.
And every village and every area has an Ish Dev, a Kul Devi, a Kshetrapal basically land guardians, and it's in their culture to, so it's in our culture to sort of keep everyone appeased. And then there are stories about nature spirits, forest spirits. And I had a great repository already at my disposal.
That's amazing.
I said, why not concoct?
Nice. So just clarifying. So the stories that you have in the book, now when you told you had the freedom to create your own fairy tales, I actually thought each of the stories were actually, that was verbally told in Uttarakhand. But how many of them were something that you already heard, and how many of them were completely weaved by you?
I think all of them are completely woven by me, because me as a person, I don't like, I'm not interested in collection or retellings. I did what I was interested in, creating stories and from scratch.
So for example, if I have to take, I don't remember the bird names, a lot of them are very technical for me.
You can tell me the color.
Yeah, the bird with the green color on the back, the walnut. Okay, so you are talking about the story
the
where
green backed tit.
Yes,
for our viewers out there.
So the green bagged tit. You were talking about the little bird, in order to help the squirrel, traveling all the way to a different mountain, picking up the walnut because it had to bring back something new into the mountain that it is staying. And the bird came back by foot, walking all the way, and
because the walnut was heavy.
Yes, the walnut was very heavy, and I don't want to continue after that. Spoilers. So the story that you had completely created there, that was made by you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like each of us have, we think that we can just, we have to pay for things in currency and everything. But I think it's just give and take. We are all interconnected beings, right? So even nature, when it gives us, there is something we have to give back to the nature. Knowingly or unknowingly. So that theme was pretty strong in that story.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite. That was actually my favorite. That's why it just popped up. But that's interesting. I think I want to read the book again.
And you may also want to check out how a raw walnut looks like.
I did. So
because it emits, it secretes when you cut it or it gets wounded. It's a softer shell, and it secretes this really bright, beautiful, greenish yellow tint, which is what I said tinted the bird's back, and it henceforth became the green back tint.
No, I actually feel like now I need to read the book again. Considering that, okay, these are not existing stories, these are like completely new versions. Oh, that's amazing. So, do you have a favorite? So, the story which I talked about right now was my favorite in this book. I know as a mom to all the stories, you cannot have favorites, but do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite, but whenever somebody asks me to talk about any one of the stories, I always go back to the theme of love, which
Oh.
is very strongly visible in a book, in a story on Himalayan monal,
Yeah.
which is also the state bird of Uttarakhand. And mainly because it's the bird which when you look at it, you get completely awestruck, and because it has so many colors, it has
Colours.
is all the colors on
Yeah.
the spectrum of a
Yeah.
rainbow. So I think it was one of the stories that was very easy for me also, and
Was it?
to write, because it kind of just flowed in. The cue was the colors, the rainbow, the plumage of the
I
bird,
felt that
the
was a
crest of
story
feathers.
that was the most fantastical.
Yeah.
Like that entire world building had happened of fantasy in that story. I'm surprised now when you told that was the easiest for you to write. Crazy.
Yeah, so that I would probably talk about because of its association with the theme of love and
Nice.
freedom.
That's so nice. What are you building more stories? Are you planning to write more books?
I am already working on a second volume, which will have some more.
Okay.
Probably not repeating the same theme, because that wouldn't interest me.
Yeah.
I need to do. I'm restless
Yeah.
like that. I need to
Yeah.
do something different every
Yeah.
time. So there will be pictures. There will be stories concocted for sure.
Interesting. So, once you started weaving these stories, did your perception towards nature change in any way?
That's a very, very good question. My perception is always changing, first of all. But I think I learned to listen more, because I had intended to, I was trying to find stories even in the winds, even in the sound of the leaves when there's fluttering. So I think I always looked more. I'm a very visual person, so I mean, visuals are very important for me. And that's what I'm also trying to do in my next work. I'm trying to also understand sounds.
Interesting.
Because that's one area where I did not, I feel, pay much attention to.
Yeah.
And there are bird calls that each bird makes, right? And there is an inherent part of their identification, the process of identification. So yeah, I would say I learned to listen more.
That's so nice. Oh, that's very interesting. So, in your experiences of, because you've been going to forests, like even when you were a child, you've been living across India, you've visited a lot of forest, and which you do even right now. Like from a child all the way till now, how has your experience going for a hiking or a trekking or just for a visit into a forest or for a bird watching or whatever it could be, how has that entirely changed? From your childhood all the way till now.
Well, I wasn't a bird watcher, I would say, as a child. But going into a forest, my connection with forest used to be a scary thing.
Okay.
Lots of animals. You know, we used to go for these corbett safaris when they were not as popular as now. Growing up every summer holidays. Because my grandfather was in Corbett, so we would go on the back of a hathi, an elephant. I also know the name of the elephant till now, and it used to be a share or a tiger will jump from here, or look at that. That's a poisonous snake, and we would get all these accompanying commentaries and everything. I think it was a scary place for me as a child.
It's
a forest.
Scary inside a forest.
Yeah, but I think now with seeing more of city life, and in fact sometimes struggling with it. I'm not being ungrateful. City life has its own merits.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot more respect for people who dwell in forests, the people who dwell in the vicinity of
Yeah.
forests like the
Yeah.
Gurjars, or there are some tribes in Uttarakhand who were Banrawats, Banrajis,
Yeah.
in Kumaon. I think a lot more respect for them, and I have a lot of reverence for nature now. Because also I've lost my grandfathers who were my connection to nature.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of reverence for nature, a lot of appreciation. And also there is awe mixed with fear. Fear is still there, right? Because when you are inside a forest, I want you to visualize this. You're inside and suddenly nothing with you. You are unarmed. And they're just huge trees. Even if there are no animals, you will be taken over by the forest.
Very much. And it's not your territory. It's definitely not your territory. You're going into the wild animals territory when you don't know what really would happen. I used to do a lot of forest safaris before when I used to live in Bangalore. There used to be a multiple, I don't know if you've ever been to, there are two major forests there. One is Bandipur, and that's Kerala Karnataka border, and then you have Kabni. That's another
I've crossed Bandipur.
Oh, you did? While you're going to Kerala?
No, while coming back from Kerala, we took a bus from Thekadi, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, we crossed we moved across the forest, and I remember seeing these male elephants.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
on
in
the way.
Kapni, well, when you were telling now that you remembered the elephant's name and everything, in Kapni used to have the elephant with the longest tusk. I mean, she passed away, I think 3-4 years ago. Her tusk was so huge. I mean, his tusk was so huge. It used to touch the ground. The tusk was so huge, it used to cross over, and it used to just cross over and touch the ground. And the elephant had so much of difficulties just walking also because your tusk was coming in the way. So this used to happen, and I mean, yeah, it was really nice. But whatever. But this is like great memories. How do you perceive like today, because you've been doing some sessions with kids also, you take some workshops and you do online sessions, etc. Now when we talk about nature, and obviously a good majority today are staying in bigger cities, now what do you think of that, how much do today's generation actually understand about nature or value nature? Like, do you have a perception there?
Well, Naghma, I don't think I would be able to answer that because I'm not a parent. I have friends across varied age groups. So I don't know how younger people are perceiving it, but I do see that, I don't know, you're way younger than I am, but when in afternoons your parents took a nap, and everybody slept, and the child is so active they don't sleep, so they would just sneak out into the garden, find some leaves, break some weeds and find that milk is oozing out of them, and those construct their memories of childhood wanderings. I think that isn't there anymore.
It's definitely not there
because
anymore.
we have our tablets, we have our phones. And a lot to keep us interested in. So I think, and this is not a judgment, and this is just my perception, is that we have much shorter attention spans, even as adults, not just children or younger people. And I feel to do something for connection or to do something, you need that empty space. We often kind of demonize boredom.
Yeah.
But I think that pause is
needed.
Is that fertile pause is needed to sort of look inwards, look outwards, then look inwards, and sort of not have any background activities going in and connecting with the world around you. I think that might be missing, and sometimes I feel that I find it missing for myself also.
Yeah, I think it's, when I childhood, for example, I still remember like when my sister and I used to play the same timings, because just every time you have a lot of people in and around you, and we used to be part of either even your vacations, you're going to your grandparents, and then you have your mamas and cousins and everybody. But this timing when every adults take the nap was the time that you own. Like this is the kids' time. So everybody else is napping, and we used to still remember like some of the activities used to include collecting different colors of soils. Because then we need to create rangolis or anything, and then just random games. So some used to be the white sand, some will be the red Kerala soil, and then we had to dig it out, and we had to make our own designs with the different colors of soils. Or we are playing kitchen, and then instead of cooking, we are taking up the leaves, and then the plate is the leaf, the curry we make are the leaves chopped into pieces, and sometimes the flavor is the smell of the leaf. And we used to do all of that. Okay, now when I think of it, it's like I'm plucking leaves, but I think kids play plucking 5 leaves out of a big tree. It's okay.
But there's also the sensorial interaction, right? You remember the smell.
You remember the smell. And sometimes you mess up because some of them oozes the, what do you call, leaf stains, and your dress are stained, your hands are stained, you're not able to get it off. But this used to be fun. But this used to actually be fun. Today, children, I mean, I feel sorry for them also. They don't really get the chance to do that. I mean, it's just there. I wish everybody still got it, but then however it works.
But I believe that, we have to look forward with some sort of stubborn optimism, because even if you hear your grandparents talking about you'd hear like, always this discourse of stark contrast between their upbringing and yours. But it always differs. No two generations are same. And I'm sure like around with the advancements that we've had, I think there are some pockets, and it's going to also this awareness is also going to enhance. I'm pretty positive about connecting back with nature.
That is true. So let's say, putting off it in this way, while you were thinking of your stories and during your travels, I'm sure you would have heard a lot of stories as well. Of what people who are still living in the outskirts, who are still forest dwellers, these people do, and some of the cultures that they have. Is there anything that surprised you, that you never thought that this could happen?
That's so many things. You have to narrow down the question a little bit, because so many.
Something maybe anything ritualistic that maybe that just standed out for you. Stood out for you. What English am I talking?
Perfect English. This is called
I'm just getting
English
lost
of organic conversations.
Yeah, I'm just getting lost in some of the other thoughts that you're giving me, and I know I'm messing up, but that's okay.
So I don't know about the stories that are, but and because this book is about Uttarakhand, and I'm from Uttarakhand, and we are in that zone, we're talking about this book and the region and the magical elements of the region. I would say that growing up, we had heard about these rituals called, where, like I told you, every region has their own kshetrapals, their own deities, hyper-local deities. And there was a time in the year, there is a time in the year when everybody gets together. And at that point of time, people used to come home from wherever they were and gather and congregate to celebrate and invoke these gods. So there's one ritual both in Kumaon, Garhwal, and in fact the tribes in Jaunsar, Shoka tribes, the Bhots, Marcharas, all have this ritual of, they would have different names for it, of invoking the local deities for offerings, protection, and appreciation and gratitude. And it is believed that it's very important to have that attitude of gratitude towards the unseen forces which nurture you. And this ritual is called Jagar, where each god would have their songs, and people, in a very ritualistic manner, it would go on, and the spirit would come in one of
the shamans.
You could call them shamans, right? And one designated person would play out that part of the spirit, of invoking that spirit throughout his life, and then pass on that to the next generation. Choose one person and pass it on.
Have you visited any of these festivals? Because there are
Yes.
multiple places where you have these also, right? People from, like you said, different villages have different deities. And during these festivals, people from different villages come back home or come to a different, a single location where the deities, the idols are carried over in chariots and then they're brought together and all of that happens. Have you visited any of these festivals?
So I come from this belt which used to be erstwhile Chamoli. Now it's got
Okay.
regrouped into Rudraprayag district.
Yeah.
So our ancestral village there where my grandfathers were born. There, every year we have this ritual called Pandav Leela, because you must have heard the story of Panch Kedar, and
Yeah.
so that entire landscape is dotted with these, narratives, mythical narratives
Yeah.
of. It's said that the Pandavas
Yeah.
were traveling there after Mahabharata,
Yeah.
and it was in Satopant and Sarg Rohini where Yudhishthir finally, Sarg Rohini is basically steps
Yeah.
to the heaven.
Yeah.
He went on and, went to the heaven,
Yeah.
and everybody dropped dead, and there was
Yeah.
only one dog left with him
Yeah.
because he was the most
Yeah.
truthful. So we our ancestors worshipped Pandavas, and in each family there would be one person on whom one Pandav spirit would come. So one
wow.
Draupadi, one Bhim, and they would have their own shastra, their own armaments
Yeah.
made out of silver, and they would wear white clothes and swirl in ecstasy and bless everyone. And sometimes they would also tell you about things that you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. To be very honest, one thing I love a lot or connect with in a lot of these Himalayan belt, the rituals and customs and beliefs. There's a lot of things similar to that we do in Kerala. Especially this concept of worshipping sacred groves and the local deities and demigods and all of it. Once the movie Kantara came out, a lot of people started following and understanding for a lot about it. But for me, this has been throughout. Like what you see in Kantara, for me, it's my actual festivals at my hometown every single year, and this is what something, even though scared, you used to see from a time when you were a child. There was this book called Shamans of Himalayas. I don't know if you came across it.
No, I haven't.
Written by Anu Malhotra. She's a movie maker. So this talks about all these rituals. So it's actually about the different rituals that happen in different belts of Himalayas.
I'm going to borrow your book if you have that.
I do have it. I'm waiting to get her on a podcast, but I haven't been able to. But that book gives these exact stories that you were just telling right now, what happens during each of these festivals. The book is filled with multiple of these festivals, and she's a movie maker. So the book is basically her interview with the main shaman. The main
so they're also
person,
called Gantuas.
Yeah.
I think that's the name. Please correct me.
I don't know.
It's an old Gantuas are the ones who are like the spokesperson of the gods.
Yes,
so they would channel the
exactly.
spirits.
Exactly.
In fact, there is this very rare book. I haven't seen it in a while, and I got very interested in our tribal culture because it roots from paganism. It's revering and fearing nature around you, because earlier people were heavily dependent on their harmony with nature, right?
Yeah.
By William Sachs.
Okay.
There's a book, I think it's called, I would have to check that for you, but it's a
We'll
bit
get
of an
back to it.
academic book, but it goes really deep into the landscape, the mythical landscape of Uttarakhand before all these hyperlocal deities, these demigods and spirits and Kshetrapals and Veers were amalgamated under one umbrella of Hinduism. Now the local deities, pretty much where you go and are basically, they're told that they're avatars of either Shiva or Vishnu. You know, so
the different forms of it
they
came
got
onto
amalgamated
Earth for a particular purpose.
That's what we're told, but then this stems way back. You know, this stems from the time when people had actually had invoked and resurrected these deities for their protection.
Yeah.
And the time before it was unified under one umbrella of Hinduism. This book talks about that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now you need to actually get back to
I
me with
will,
that
I
name
will.
because it's very interesting. Like in our customs or in temples that we go into also, like if I step into a Shiva temple, there is a I couldn't say decorated, but very nicely kept big shivling in the center. And in Kerala, temples are slightly different from what we see in the north, because here you have a shivling, anybody can go and you can pour water onto it, or you can do your rituals or your
So in Kerala you can't go to the
Kerala, no. So
Garbhagriha.
Kerala temples are pretty much segregated. So the main priest is the only one who's allowed to go inside the main citadel. He's the only one who is allowed to do the puja or anything. And even when the main priest is walking by, we all give way. Because now he's considered to be pure and he's going into the citadel for the puja and everything. So nobody can touch him. So that you don't become ashuddh. All of these things happen. And when we go to pray, we can see the idol. We can see, and this depending upon the time of the day, how you I'm not picking the words, the flowers you use, or for different idols or offerings you use, and the flowers or the decor or the dress or everything is completely different, and you're basically seeing it from outside. So you can only see. And you're praying standing outside the main citadel, and whatever puja and if you have a puja being done also, you're basically requesting the priest to do that for you. You can't do it by yourself. And then outside, there are other form of smaller shivlings. Different forms. And when I was a child, I never realized what these are. I always thought, like, okay, different gods. And now when you're talking about the main names that we know as gods, they came into earth taking different forms and something very connected to nature or forest or anything. And these are technically avatars. And it was these avatars that was getting worshipped outside. And these gods that are worshipped outside from the main citadel area, these are gods who doesn't like jewelries or a lot of, a lot of materialistic stuff. So they live in a corner with just one diya in front of them and maybe some vibhuti or something, and these are just there. We still pray to them. We still, whenever we take the rounds around the temple, we still pray to them as well. But then it's so different contrast, and these are all so-called. I used to think of it as sub-gods.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, the avatar and reincarnation is a construct. That we have made to sort of unify a religion, unify a system of belief.
Yeah.
And there are lots of energies, there are lots of deities, and see, this universe has everything. So for us puny humans, we need to streamline and label things, and hence whether every region, every people, every community have their own set of rules and everything. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Like Ashuddh is also a construct, right? So we come from a very interesting culture where for some reason, and this is the only place on earth, India, where it happens, where you also have Vedantas and you also have at least a couple of thousands or crores of deities, micro deities in India. So you're talking also of like singularity, and you're also talking about very strongly advocating, or not advocating, but very strongly recognizing duality. So it's a place where everything exists. So
and there's space for everything.
There is actually space for everything. Like, I really believe that whatever you create is also not new. We have access to these ideas unconsciously or subconsciously, and we sort of catch one like a fish hook, and we sort of, this looks, maybe I can stay with it for a while, and then it becomes our own idea after a
True.
while.
What's the importance of stories? Like to
In what? The importance of stories, I
a
don't
lot
think we
of
can.
things that we lose out. I mean, things can get documented. That's why we have museums. I can always go to a museum or a book that is written by a priest long ago and understand a lot more about the culture of a particular place, or something stored in a library and all of that. But academically, we don't go explore. And I mean, in general terms, somebody is very interested in a subject or is academically pursuing it, will definitely. But laymen, we don't go sit in libraries and keep reading about what happened, what was old Delhi, what was that fort, what was there. I'm just not talking about from a history perspective, but a lot of from our mythological, old, ritualistic, like how we were talking about a lot of things that is there happening in Himalayas, even now, even in Kerala. Do we lose it, or is it stories that still keeps
I
them
think it's
together?
a very good question, and I think I will try and answer this because this requires a much longer conversation when you're talking about. See, stories, first of all, we cannot survive without stories.
Of course.
Our identity is also a story. We cannot survive.
Yeah.
All the narrative, the fiction, non-fiction world is also a web of stories. History is also a story. And the purpose of our archiving or documentation is a very cosmetic purpose of stories. I think we exist because of stories.
Yeah.
And as far as myths getting lost are concerned, I think memory is a very interesting thing. Memory also, a lot of times when we look back in the past, our memory of that incident would change.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of new age therapies also rely on, going back and sort of reconciling and everything, right? So similarly, stories also, I think, as nothing is stagnant in this world, stories also evolve. They don't remain the same. So myths will also evolve.
Yeah.
So each sutradhar, it will pass through, it will take something from the sutradhar also. So yes, they evolve because they're coming out of memory.
Yeah.
Even retelling would change it a bit.
Distorted in a good way, maybe.
I don't know if good or bad
Yeah.
in that sense would exist, but
Yeah.
distortion, I think it's evolution of stories, and it would also take, I think, if we were to hear the same myths 1,000 years back, it would sound very different.
It would, definitely.
And it's always shaped by your not just memory but understanding of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's inevitable for things to change texture and shape.
So even the same part of what you were telling, if we were to hear the same myth 1,000 years ago, somewhere recently I was reading of the part where some of the ritualistic things that we do, let's say for example, from a small village outside in the outskirts where a god has gone to live for during a particular duration, and then now the god has to come back. Today normally we bring the idol back in a chariot. So starting from 1,000 bags from the time when somebody actually carried the idol all the way to then maybe in the chariot that you can hold on your shoulder, to the time when wheels came in and then you're dragging the chariot all the way. And today when the wheels, the chariots are also electronized or battery powered, and then the wheels are turning and basically somebody is just steering it from the start. It's the same ritual that's happening, but depending upon which generation that you are asking to, the way they tell you or narrate that same ritual to you is going to sound extremely different. And today, to somebody who's living today, you talk about the same ritual, the person could even maybe talking about it from the perspective that the person saw the entire festival through the lens of the camera.
Yeah.
And not even looking at it or going deeper to I don't know, anywhere to talk to somebody there, or I don't know. I mean, it sounds very like evolution. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you get disconnected also. I mean, I always feel
In
that.
what sense?
If somebody today is narrating that same experience through the lens of the camera, not to disregard that, but then if you had the time to capture all of that on camera, maybe you could have also spent some time to just actually experience it. Went a lot of off topic, completely away from the book, but that has been an amazing journey talking about all of these things. Now, coming back to the book, once you decided you wanted to build your own stories, build your own fairy tales in a way that people understood what each bird is and how did that bird come into being, I'm sure it would have taken a lot of time and effort for it as well. How was your writing journey like?
Writing journey was very fluid for this one. I'm guilty of keeping my manuscripts at 80%, 90% done for like years. But this one flowed very naturally. And I think because it was coming from an intention to provide for myself and the coming generation what wasn't there. Like there were no stories. Like I said in the beginning, if you can create emotional entry points into the non-animate world, nature, that's how you get people to think about it, consider, be aware of, the nature. That we live in nature, we can't exist without it. But we don't pay enough. So imagine like a child who's, you show him on a picture that this is a sparrow, right? Or you tell him a story and the child goes through sparrow's day about the town and sparrow's sadness and happiness and everything. The next time he'll see a sparrow bird, he'll have this emotional connect with the sparrow. So stories do that. I think you asked that question, right? They're important because they are all we have, and it helps us create an emotional connect with the world around us, and in doing that, connecting us to ourselves back again.
Grounding us more.
Grounding. I fly.
Of course, you're writing.
I'm not grounded.
Birds.
I fly.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, some of the stories were also like very emotional. Where I don't again remember the exact name of the bird, but the one which you're talking about, the two tails.
Spotted folktale.
Yeah. Folktale. So in that, when we are talking about the story that you weaved, and the bird was actually hurt, and it tried escaping as well. How the tail got split. I was feeling so sorry for it. I was literally saying, I was so emotional at that moment. I was feeling so sorry, and I was like, oh. But I actually thought this was the real story. I didn't know you weaved it. So I was like, whatever. But it was like amazing journey altogether. Reading through those stories, living and figuring out, achha, this bird is like that. And I sat with, honestly, for me it was a parallel journey while reading and Googling something, because the bird that you're talking about, then I went back and checked the pictures of these birds, and these are the colors that's mentioned in the book. This is exactly what the bird looks like. I was doing all those research a little bit.
So now you'll see that in nature, and you'll at least remember this somewhere, is like one of the 9 or 10 birds that you know a little bit about.
Exactly. And I was even trying to find the resemblances, because I also know regionally a lot of the flora fauna changes. So a lot of the birds that you were talking about
maybe just are available in the Himalayan belt.
Exactly. So I could have, so we have a bird called the two-tailed something, now I can't remember. So it has not exactly the entire tail being split, but from the tail there's a long, like how you have
I think peacock. You mean a flycatcher? Is it white in color?
No. It's brownish in color.
It could be brown.
This is something very common we see. So I was connecting
to
that
after this,
bird.
We're going to sit and
we can do that. And I actually went and checked, okay, is this the bird and this bird that I'm talking about the same? Because I had the name from your book, but I can't remember what I was searching for. So I'm talking to ChatGPT, telling, okay, this is the name. I know the name in Malayalam. So like, okay, what is the English word? And is it the same bird? I figured it's not the same, but whatever. But then a lot of connections were happening. I was trying to figure out, okay, this bird, do I know this bird? I was trying to see, are there any common birds like the myna or anything like that, which we see on a regular basis? which is there in the book, but then I figured, no, those are all mostly the mountain birds that you're talking
Miners
about.
are there in, but there's so many birds.
Yeah.
More than 200 species. So
Exactly.
in that belt, and then leave some work for me to do later also.
Exactly.
So I've just chosen 10 of them.
Yeah. And maybe we are also hoping that maybe next time you talk about some of the flowers that come into picture, or some of the butterflies
that's
that
an
just come
interesting,
in.
yes.
Because every time you keep talking about birds, we are like, okay, we know you're talking about more birds. Give us something more. Then it could be the flowers, or it could be the butterflies, or it could be a tree, the story of how the tree came into picture. All right, let's see how that goes. Now, once you finish writing, once you finally at least finished one manuscript and not leave it at 90%, how did your publishing journey go like?
It was erratic because it got accepted into a publishing house. I think in the hindsight, it is whatever happens for good. The project got stalled there, so I had to withdraw for after 2 years my submission, and then wherein I could then pitch it to smaller publishers. When I say smaller, I don't mean it in a demeaning way. There are some beautiful, amazing independent publishing houses which produce really niche work, and those were the ones I thought could find this book could find a place in. And I never dared submitting it to a bigger publishing house.
Okay.
And as luck would have it, when after 5 years, I had stalled this book too, because a lot of people had said, oh, nobody's going to print so many colored pictures and everything. It's expensive production and everything.
Yeah.
So
it's
I just
expensive. It's $5.99 with a lot of color.
I mean, the production cost is more than normal black and white books. So I actually, by some stroke of luck, the right person at the Penguin Publishing House saw it, and my wonderful editor connected back with me and said, why don't you send us the entire manuscript, which they have the turnaround time of a couple of weeks. They came back and they said, we'd like to take it on. And I took a chance. I submitted it to the publishing house of my dreams, and because we've all grown up reading Penguin books, right? All the classics are published by Penguin. So it's a huge honor for me to have my first book published by them. And there is a lot of hard work that the author still does, by the way, even after the book is submitted, before it's in print. So there were lots of rounds of editing. I had a very patient and perseverant editor. We were on calls for a couple of hours, back and forth on books, and especially this took longer because there were placements and pictures involved. Artwork placement was involved, and the designer Akriti was wonderful. She accommodated all my vision, and she came up with this wonderful layout that the book has. So I at this point of time, I feel really grateful. I think the wait was worth the while.
It was indeed worth the while, because I think it's very rare to even hear a story of an author trying to submit a manuscript and the publisher picking it up, and that too, Penguin, picking it up directly from the writer. So that's like amazing. I'm sure the journey definitely will help you get the story out there to a lot of people.
Oh, it has. I think, I'm not interested in numbers or anything, but when people come back and tell me, especially like people from Uttarakhand, people who are into, wildlife and nature, and it's not just limited to Uttarakhand. It's also It's also people who are passionate about wildlife and nature. And they come back and say, it's such a wonderful, book. Why don't you write more? We want to hear more stories, and it's amazing. And I got an opportunity to present this book at the annual Birders lunch at WWF a week or 2 weeks back.
Nice.
I think it was a week back,
Yeah.
and it was again a wonderful experience to get so much encouragement and
Of
support.
course.
And sometimes and you feel like, oh, I've just written a book, I've not
Mm,
done much,
exactly,
but
that's
you don't
true.
own the praise, but
Yeah.
the support that the birding community
Yeah.
has shown me in
Yeah.
Delhi, in Uttarakhand,
Mm.
and even the local booksellers have shown me in Dehradun,
Yeah.
Uttarakhand. It's amazing. It's
So
amazing, and I'm
nice.
extremely I'm grateful for it.
That's so nice. I mean, it's a beautiful journey to have, and to be recognized by somebody by like WWF. That's like amazing. Congratulations.
It was an annual birders lunch
Yeah.
where there were a couple of books,
Yeah.
4 or 5 books that were on wildlife that was released recently. I wouldn't say I'm represented by them,
Yeah.
but I got to have a seat at the table.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
yeah.
I mean, it's thanks to the book.
Thanks
That's
to the
amazing.
book. Thanks actually to the birds, the nature.
Yeah, that's true. No,
I
but
think-
it's really nice because when you're talking about something that you really want to share with a lot of people, and books are one great medium to reach the mass audience, and if you're able to get that response from readers or supporters or the niche audience who are interested in that particular topic, and if they are valuing it, like as a very layman reader, for me, I love the book because it brought back a lot of childlike nostalgia.
Let's make facts clear. You're not a layman reader for sure.
I am. I mean,
You go through like 20 books a month or
no,
something.
but that's different, right? I'm talking about from the subject
Okay,
perspective.
okay.
From a very
Understood.
subject perspective, I love fiction and I live for stories. And when you're talking about, that's why I know the stories, but I don't remember the bird names.
But you know they're black. They're
Exactly.
green.
So that's why I say layman. Because I can identify with the green dot on the back.
You're
and
a
things like
budding budding birder.
I wish so.
You're a budding
yeah.
birder. That's how it starts. Just with interest.
I actually wish so also because Dehradun is some place where I always I end up going a lot for work. I wish I can go for a morning walk.
But
with
you
the
can do
bird
that in
watchers
Delhi
and
as well.
everything. Delhi is
Okla Bird Sanctuary is there.
Oh, they do that?
Yeah, no, there are groups and there are people who are enthusiastic. And even if you just look out and watch, there are lots of birds which come to Delhi. I think the common ones that you can spot are like crows for sure, pigeons for sure.
Yeah.
Then there are rose-ringed parakeets. There is yellow-footed green pigeon. There are
Green pigeon?
Yeah, there are bulbuls. There are lots. You just have to want it. That's the Khulja Sinsin, the magic incantation.
That's where the laziness comes into picture.
You can be completely lazy, completely still and lazy, and just be lazy in front of in your balcony.
Like 2
just
years in
watching
Delhi,
birds.
I've always been thinking that I want to do the Delhi Heritage Walk and things like that. I never went. I never went. I mean, you can always go see a historical monument, but then if you're going with somebody who's also going to tell you stories about it, now that's a different experience. But I just never went. I literally never went. But yeah, keeping that aside, what is your journey ahead going to be looking like? Is it going to be focused on stories? Is it going to be focused on art? What is it going to be for you?
I think I don't know, first of all, what my journey is going to be with absolute truth and honesty. But I think words and pictures have not been... I'm not going to do a graphic novel. I love graphic novels. But I don't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
But words and pictures are not exclusive for me. Like sometimes the pictures take over, they inform the mood of the story, or sometimes the words are more powerful. So it's just this constant dance of, courtship.
Yeah, true. Nice, interesting. Now I'm actually, in the back of my head, I'm still thinking the author that I was talking to you about, who I interviewed in my last episode, Ita. I really want you guys to meet. I have no idea why, but then I can't wait to just sit as a viewer or a listener and then listen to both of you talk. I mean, the conversation is going to be extremely interesting. All the very best in everything that you're going to be doing from here on in all the endeavors, things that you pursue, things that find you in a lot of ways. And thank you for this amazing conversation today.
Thank you for having me.
It
Wish
was-
you all the best.
Thank you so much. It was a very good journey because a lot of things that you were telling took me into a transcendental thought process in a way that I was fumbling. But then it was a good experience to have to just get lost in some conversation. So it was a beautiful journey for me as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for keeping this very organic and raw. None of this is scripted.
Yeah, of course.
We're just having a drawing room conversation. And it was
Exactly,
enjoyable for
exactly.
me as well.
That's amazing. But looking forward to having hopefully more sessions with you or finding places where you are doing some good storytelling and I can just be in the audience and just listen to it. So good luck to all of it and hopefully catch up with you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Naghma. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you guys. We'll be back with another episode. Have a good day. The next show by Naghma